Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday Q&A. Today's Sunday Q&A is mainly about feedback, based on the video I did on feedback, strangely enough. A couple of comments, really. And I've kind of changed my opinion on feedback as well. I said in the beginning, if you want, and it kind of is true, if you're starting off on the CX and you want to get your feedback up quickly, the best thing you can do is leave positive feedback. Anyway, just leave positive. Tony told me this. He said, leave positive feedback, and that way that will encourage them to leave you positive feedback. You'll get your feedback up quickly, positive, and then other people on the exchange can see that you've done jobs, that you've done jobs well, and they're more likely to give you the job. But that is kind of is against what the feedback actually does, because the idea of feedback is actually supposed to separate the wheat from the chaff. As Julian Rowe said, he says, don't leave feedback until funds have cleared in your account. And Steve Davis, hello Steve, he says common sense really, isn't it? You know, if they're a good payer, you say they're a good payer when they're paid, which theoretically should encourage them to pay. Also, recently I've discovered, and I didn't know whether this changed or whether it's true, that if you do leave positive feedback as a good payer and they haven't paid, you can't change it. Because the old days, I think you could just go back and change it. But now, and also we're going back through our accounts, and there's a couple that haven't paid, and there's a couple that look like they're not going to pay. There's a couple of them that are kind of gone bust. So with that in mind, certainly the responsible thing to do would be to leave the feedback, strangely enough, accordingly with when you get paid. So that's what we're doing now. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, really. When you're starting out, you want to leave the feedback as quickly as you possibly can, but in the interest of being responsible, kind of leave it when they pay. And then you can say to them, I've had a couple of guys that have paid pretty quickly that said, money's in your bank, please leave us some feedback, because they want feedback too. So yeah, that I think is the way forward now. And as for the negative feedback, RK says, he says all his jobs have gone well. One of them went wrong. He said, but the guy was good enough not to leave him negative feedback. He says he's getting a bottle of whiskey for Christmas. Well done you, RK. You know, but we've had jobs when I was dead lucky when I started. Because you do make mistakes. I remember once going into a place and then getting over to somewhere in Heathrow, and I'll give him the box, and the guy went, it's supposed to be 2 boxes. And then you look at the notes and there's 2 references, and I'm like, I've only picked up 1 box, and the shipper goes, you've only taken 1 box, can you go back and get the other one? I go, I'm miles away from it now, and they go, I'm going to have to send another van in. I went, okay, well, pay me what you like. And she said, well, it's going to cost me this much money to send a van in. The essence with all of this, and I can't stress this long enough, is communication. Talk to the shippers, talk to the customers. Let everybody know all the way along. If a lorry falls over in front of you, ring them, say, a lorry's fallen over in front of me. They go, great, okay, I'll tell the customer, because things go wrong. If you get a puncture, if your van explodes, ring them and tell them. It's communication is the key. We're all human, everyone knows a human. What is most frustrating from a shipper's point of view is when you ring them and you go, you're supposed to be there 2 hours ago, and they go, oh yeah, I broke down. You're like, why are you telling me this now? If you told me it's 2 hours ago, I could have done something about it. So that's kind of it on the feedback, guys. I think we've got to be a little bit more responsible with the feedback. I'll have to have a look into this, and I'll maybe even have a talk to them, because I can talk to them now, about, I think some companies set themselves up with the best of intentions, and it doesn't work out. So it doesn't work out, and they fold. Some companies maybe see it as a money-making opportunity. There are shysters out there. Your best port of call against the shysters is the forum. On the CX, there's a forum. There are companies out there that maybe aren't playing the game the way they're quite supposed to do. If you go on the forum, there are the wise, sagey mob that are actually much more experienced than me. They'll flag these people up. So you'll see their names, and then you can beware. I've got a lot of my own customers now, so I tend to work for my own customers a lot more, so it's not so much an issue for me. But certainly use the forum, use the exchange. I'll maybe see if there's something. I might maybe talk to somebody at some stage, see if there's any little indicators or pointers. Check the CX number as well. If they've got an old CX number, there's a good chance they're an established firm and they're playing the game. If they've got a relatively new CX number, that doesn't mean that they're not. I have got a relatively new CX number. I started 18 months ago, but it maybe is enough to make you be a little bit more wary, I think. And I will graciously accept any comments on this matter, and obviously pass them on next Sunday. Right, okay, enough about that. Oh yeah, all right, we're on PODs, I think, now. Yeah, Mark Laughlin, Mark Laughlin, hello Mark. He's done right, like me. Started off, all his jobs have gone well. He said happy days, and we're on the PODs. He said he's got a printer in his van. This is a useful thing to have. There are lots of useful things to have that I haven't got. Company ID, because I can't work out how to do it myself, and I'm too tight to actually buy one off the internet. But it's about 20 quid. Company ID, you want to get your photo on with your name, your company, a date, an expiry date. It just means if you ever get hit by an airport, there's a good chance that some of them request company ID. It's ridiculous, because anyone can get it, and you can write anything you like and you print it off the internet. It's not like a passport, but some of them require it. A printer in the van is also very useful. Again, for airport jobs and other jobs as well, some companies will give you the job and they'll send you over like an email, and they'll send you over a PDF. And because of the marvels of modern technology, because phones do everything now, hey, I'm recording a video on my phone right now. You can send the PDF to the printer in the van wirelessly and print off their paperwork. So that means you can go in with their paperwork. I remember once I took a job and the bloke turned around and he said, "You haven't got the paperwork." I went, "Mate, I'm in a van. I ain't in an office. I'm not driving around in a desk with a computer at it." He went, "Okay, fine." He said, "What you've got to do is go to another place first to pick up the paperwork." And that was fine. That was okay. It was no problem. Yeah, printers in the vans could be useful things to have. They're wireless. I also know one of the guys I met at a meeting at CX. Hey, bud. I never mentioned names, but you know, he actually, I think he's got his van set up with like wireless and Alexa, so you can actually save on the hands-free thing. You can actually start talking to your van. That's like driving a Starship Enterprise. I maybe will get to that at one stage, but you people that are far further down the line than me are much more advanced. In the meantime, I'm just driving a van, dropping off pallets. But yeah, printer in the van, Mark Laughlin, very useful thing to have. Yorkshire, having on the subject of PODs, Yorkshireman's Daily Grind, he says, "Can you show me the proof of delivery?" He says, "Can you put a link on Amazon to the proof of delivery book note thing?" Oh, that I were that advanced. But what I have done, so I just bought a new one. It's this one here, and I'm reading this backwards. Ocean Pads, and if you go to Amazon and you type in proof of delivery notes, a few of them ping up. This one I think is the best one. It's about 6-7 quid. There's one on there which I think might be marginally cheaper, but it's a little bit smaller. You get 50 PODs for 7 quid. So just off the top of my head, if it's £5, that would be like 10p a POD, 10-12 pence a POD. And I mean, when you printer ink and all that, my printer ain't brilliant. I've printed some off and then I've cut them and they look a bit shabby. This one, it's kind of, yeah, there you go. That's what you get inside. It works perfectly well. There we go. What else we got going on today? Nothing on that cheap. Oh yes, a few miscellaneous normal ones. There's a couple of questions that keep coming up. I mean, I'm sure I've done one on this before. And I don't like to repeat myself, so I'll keep it quick. Van age. Does the age of your van matter? The newer, long and very straightforward. The newer the better, and the cleaner the better. But obviously, we've all got our constraints. Best you can do, really. You know, it doesn't. It matters more to some shippers than others. It depends on the job. It depends what you're going into. If you're moving parts around the corner, probably not so much. If it's a high-end customer and you're moving, I don't know, oil paintings, then it probably matters a bit more. But it depends on the job. It won't stop you working. But obviously, and for your own sake, you want to get the newer the better, because the newer the better, less chances you're going to break down. And Alex Cosundo on, sorry about names, on leasing, buying, renting. I'm pretty much, there's one on videos before. The long and short of it is, you want to buy as new as you possibly can. Leasing will drain you. They'll always screw you on the miles at the end of the day, and unless you can get a really, really good deal, which we're always still looking for. I always say buy it and buy as new as possible. I think Ian, the shipper, said about this before, and he's an old professional and he's worked it all out and he's done the maths, and he said getting older vehicles is a false economy, because you end up with time off the road and time on repairs and money on repairs. Just get the best van you possibly can. And Peter Holland said, "How old is your van?" I thought, Peter, what I might do a video on Jessica. And just to shift around and what it's like in the cab and what it's like in the back, and could be useful. You know, be nice for Jessica. She hasn't had a video yet. Right, just some other miscellaneous. Bootneck. Do you need an operator's for 3,000 for Luton with a tail. No, you can drive anything under 3.5 ton without an operator's license, which is why I drive a Luton, because it's the biggest van I can drive without an operator's license. I did have one, I haven't anymore. If I still had one, I would consider going into like 7.5s, because there is a thing the Courier Exchange doesn't just do vans. There's a thing called the Haulage Exchange, and the Haulage Exchange will do trucks. A right up thing, and I'm going to have a look into it, because you guys need to know about this, because I kind of think the bigger the better. I heard a story once of a guy. He's got a truck, he's got like a 10-ton truck, and he had to move 13 pallets from Cambridge to London. He said, I've got £735 for that job. Now if I did that, and if I had to move 4 pallets from Cambridge to London and Luton, I might have got 150 if I was lucky. If I was lucky, probably more like a oneer, I should think, maybe 70 quid. So it's worth it, but I'm going to have to find out about this Haulage Exchange, just so you guys know about it. Something I'm also thinking about, me and Al are both in Lutons now, maybe going back and re-getting an operator's licence. Operator's licence costs, probably take about 3 months, probably going to cost you about £1,000 or so to get it. It did last time. If I do it, or if I look into it, hey, I might even do a video. And of course, if anyone else has got there and they know more about it, please leave any of your suggestions in the notes, and I will pass them on. What else have we got here? Oh, Joseph Monty. Do you need a phone to find a place? Well, no, but I mean, bearing in mind my phone's my sat nav, kind of yeah. But I mean, you can theoretically have a sat nav, or you can do it from maps. I don't think anyone uses maps anymore, do they? But it does. It is useful. I wouldn't. It doesn't. I'd say maybe one time in 5, you might actually have a contact number come through. And if you haven't got a contact number and you can't find the place, you can always ring the shipper. Go to the job, on the job booking details, and in the top right-hand corner, there's a little black telephone. Hit the black telephone. That will get you through to the shipper and go, look, I'm here. I'm on site. I'm at the postcode. Can't find the place. Could you find me a number? And then what they will do is they'll ring their customer, and they'll go, right, the driver's around, can you give us a number? And they'll ring you back with a number. You ring the customer, and the customer will go, yeah, we're behind the chip shop. Or, yeah, you know that big building that says Mac? Yeah, that's International Screws. I've had that one before. You're going into International Screws, and you turn up, and it's like, that sign says Mac. And they went, yeah, we never changed it. Where am I supposed to find you then? But that's why, yeah, telephones. Do you need a telephone to find a place? Not necessarily, but kind of, yeah. It's a very useful tool to have. Yeah, and just a couple of other, just a little bit silly bits on the end. Khalid Bonaboo, thank you very much for support. He likes the videos, he watches it. He's in Casablanca. I don't know if you're a courier driver in Casablanca, or you're just watching the videos in Casablanca. If you're a courier driver in Casablanca, I'll be curious to know what it's like. I imagine hectic. Never been to Casablanca, but I'm sure, Mabu, this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Joe Gingy says he's one on. I did a video a little while ago before I was driving the vans. I did one on market numbers, money. Like £20 a score, £15 is Commodore, that kind of thing. And he says a bag of sand is also £1,000. Yeah, in fairness, a bag of sand is the more common one. Most people refer to £1,000 as a bag. If you scroll back through the videos, you'll see it's how to do something about Cockney money or something like that. I just like a piano. I mean, like we always used to say £500 a monkey, and my dad would refer to £1,000 as a gorilla. He's about the only person I've ever known who said it. But if he would say we took a gorilla, I'd know what he's talking about. I just like piano. Like I like McGarrett for 50. Everybody else will call it a bullseye. I call it a McGarrett, because I kind of like the link. If you want to know the link, you can watch the video. It's down there. There's lots of other interesting things. Well, kind of using interesting faster and looser. And just at the end, Scouse Dennis. We were, I did a video on like I called it the unexploded bomb, about when you don't realise when you start a job that it's going to go wrong. He actually said he had, when he started 20 years ago, an unexploded bomb in his van. He said, but they managed to. He said, they managed to point me in the right direction, and thank God it didn't go off. Yeah, kind of like to know a little bit more about that one, mate. To be honest with you, I have transported all kinds of strange things. I've never been like Keanu Reeves in Speed, You know, I've kind of never had something on board that was potentially lethal to me before I dropped it off, at least not that I know of. And again, anybody who's transported any interesting or unusual things, it's always fun to pass them on. In the meantime, 2 weeks left, guys. You can run over the Christmas period, but it's going to be airports and alcohol, and you won't get a job back. So start preparing now. If we should have started preparing earlier, so should I. Squirrel a bit away. Christmas is coming. 100 days are coming. Yeah, that's it. If I get up early enough next week, I'll do one in the front room because we're going to go and put the tree up and make it a bit more festive. And in the meantime, take care, take money.